I'm leaving all of this alone.
Right.
Because, you know, I said, she reached out to me, and she wanted an interview. I gave it to her over the phone, and like I said, 7 days later, she was dead, and I felt, not that I was responsible, but because I didn't reach out to her, but I just said that whole circle, I'm just going to leave that alone. And whatever they're doing in Kansas City, that's their thing. Yeah. You know?
Yeah.
And
I have a problem with anyone, though, that take pieces of the messenger's teachings.
Well, you know, everyone steals from the messenger. They all have.
I was about
You work
to mention
with Reverend Al Sharpton. Sharpton have learned a lot of the messenger's teachings. They use it. Jesse Jackson said on Munir's show how he would get his cup filled from the messenger's teachings.
That's
they
right.
all have, and they just, maybe they don't publicly say it, but they all have. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad was truly the light of the world when he was in here.
Yes, sir.
And every one of them, whether it was Stokely, Kwame Ture, whoever it was, they all, you know, listened or took a piece of the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. There's a big-time minister here or preacher, I should say, in Brooklyn now. He used to be a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You know, some of the Orthodox Muslims were former followers of the messenger. They use Islam the way they wanted to use it.
Yeah, well, again, I have a problem with that because of my love for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
I have that same love. But you know what, brother, if they are turning lives around, you know, I just pray Allah that down the line, you know, someone will wake up and see what's going on. But if he's cleaning up, whoever the organization is, if they're cleaning up someone, if the sister was a prostitute, if the brother was out on the street, you know, and whatever that direction gave him a light, you know, sometimes that can start them on the journey, and that may not be where they're going to wind up, but that's the road that they decide that they're going to start on. So, something like I said, this is me. I may be wrong, but I just somehow step back and say, you know what, give it time, because you know I've been on Earth 51 years, and you just start to observe and you say, let's see where it goes. You know, I do that even with my son. I know your sons are here,
right.
But I never forced them to be followers of the messenger. You know, because I lived that, and I saw how, you know, my father, like your father, was a barber. He made sure we had a haircut. Put your suit on. Let's go to the temple. My brothers and them maybe didn't want to go. They wanted the bean pie, the marble cookie. They wanted, you know, what the bakery had to present. So they said, yeah, we get a bean pie. But they really wasn't into it. And they didn't love it. And but you wouldn't know it. They came in, they saluted, cut corners, did what they had to do.
Right.
So you thought it. But as time went on, you saw it wasn't in their heart. They was doing it because the parents, they didn't want to displease my father.
Right.
You know, so I don't force my children. They know what I'm about. If they want to choose to come, it's all here for them if they want it. But I'm not trying to beat it into them or any of them, because I think you almost create a hypocrite when you beat someone into this teachings. You know, you hit them over the head, stand up, come on, join, come on.
I agree with that.
I don't like that. I feel if they come in their own private moments, if the thought come to them and they realize, you know what, I want to change, and I want to change for a better, whether they, you know, if they say Malcolm read the dictionary, was in prison, and he, you know, he studied Islam and he became free. Some people believe that, and they go that way. And if that's what the road that brought them to Islam, praise be to Allah. So that's the kind of the position that I look at now. I don't agree with a lot of, you know, as you said with Royal, and I don't agree with it, but you know, by visiting his restaurants and seeing it looks like they clean, they look like they're doing the righteous thing. So I leave them alone. I'd rather see them looking righteous and clean and doing something respectful than to be out on a corner knowing a sister's name by when she walked by. Oh, that's, you know, I'd rather them doing something proper.
I agree.
And so
one thing that happens, though, is when the Nation of Islam itself is weak.
Yes, sir.
These groups pop up and get their little...
I totally agree with that.
You know, when the nation is strong and we're on course like we should be, then you'll look around and you know, you don't have this kind of stuff going on quite as much. It remains much more tame as a result. Yes,
and like I said, I know when the mosque, I think it was in '94, number 7, when Minister Conrad was the minister up there for Minister Farrakhan, and the police came into the mosque again, and they got Reverend Sharpton and others came to speak for the mosque. It's like, I thought that was like crazy. When it happened in April of '72, Minister Farrakhan held the press conference, and it showed the strength of the nation.
Right.
But to me, it makes you look weak. And I say this, you know, and I know I try now not to really talk too much about Minister Farrakhan. I felt I did enough. But I think it's a total fool to call your minister student. If you come in the room and tell me you're a student minister and everyone else is wearing the title of minister, do you think they think you're their equal? So you got a minister in the city of New York, he come around, I'm the student minister. Well, who's the minister?
Yeah.
So I don't agree with that. And I think that night when Reverend Sharpton and them went to the temple or the mosque on 125th Street at that time,
right,
and because of that incident, I thought that it made the nation look weak. The press conference, he's standing there, and the ministers are on the side, or Conrad and them is sitting on the side. I just said, how is they attacking the mosque and you got a Christian preacher? It just, to me, that image I thought it was crazy. But when I just was saying that because you had mentioned how the Nation of Islam look weak when others pop up.
That's right.
And that just flashed in my mind. Yes. I hate the fact that the Nation of Islam is weak. I hate it. I hate it with a passion because we know what the strength of the nation. We knew that the Nation of Islam, at least in New York City, in every borough, we were the major force.
That's right.
Things didn't happen unless the Nation of Islam knew it. And
the same thing in Newark.
The baby, Sam Cooke, came to the temple in Queens. The celebrities, Melba Moore, Aretha Franklin, used to come to the temple. They didn't come in the city without coming by because they knew that just like a politician, we better pay our respects to the Muslims. We had the city.
Right.
We had that much honor and respect at that time.
Yes, sir.
And now, half the time you don't even know where the mosque is in the city. If you press someone to say, where's the mosque? It's on 116th Street. It ain't been on 116th Street in years.
Right.
But they don't know.
They don't know.
And,
there's no Muslim presence.
It's not.
There's no Muslim presence.
Right.
And, as a result, the people, because like you said just a minute ago, we have always been the stabilizing force in our communities.
That's right.
The FOI out on the street selling Final Call, Muhammad Speaks or whatever, very important, very necessary. Because the presence, just the presence of the FOI, the people know that we're working.
That's right.
And,
it was a reality on 116th Street up in Harlem. They didn't have bars over the businesses.
Right. None of that.
You didn't break in there.
No. No.
It was a light, even though Nicky Barnes and all the drugs was going on all around it.
Right.
They didn't touch Muhammad's Temple.
That's right.
102 West 116th Street.
That's right.
And the businesses right there, Arabian, the Fruit, Brother Fruit, and across the street, Steak and Take, Arabian Fried Chicken.
That's right.
You didn't touch none of that.
That's right.
Those businesses, those were the Muslims.
Muslim businesses.
And it was
same
crazy.
Thing in Newark. Same thing in Newark. Chancellor Avenue.
Right.
All those businesses, all
right.
Muslims.
Used to come over there.
All Muslim businesses there. And Minister James, Mayor Ken Gibson came to the mosque because he couldn't get nothing done in the city. Mm-hmm. He couldn't get nothing done in the city without the Muslims and without the permission. And sure enough, I twice was at the mosque when Ken Gibson came to the mosque.
That's right.
Spoke at the mosque. And, and see, that was under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
That's right.
So
Tom Bradley was the one up in California.
California.
Right, Tom Bradley. All those mayors
came to the Hatcher, couldn't get nothing done.
All of them used to attend.
Richard Daley, you mean?
Richard Daley. Not Richard Daley. In Gary, Indiana.
Oh, yeah, right. Right.
But
they all did. And see, again, I do need to make this point. That was under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So there you had politics involved to some degree with the nation.
Yes, sir.
It wasn't an unprecedented thing when Minister Farrakhan did what he did, as far as Jesse Jackson was concerned, because there's already a precedent under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad where we would deal with certain politicians and just certain political things. Right. We'd only go but so far.
That's right.
No voting or nothing, but the messenger did say that if there was a politician who would put the Muslim program before Congress, he would vote. He would tell us to vote.
That's what he said.
Okay? And he spoke about Adam Clayton Powell and how he thought that we should support him because he was a good man trying to get some things done. And it is true about him. But, we right now, again, to go back to what I was saying earlier, it's time now for us to just work.
Yes, sir.
and work hard. And this is why, you know, you and what you're